Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Speaker, my amendment, similar to a previous amendment that I offered to the FAA reauthorization, which passed the House in July of 2023, requires the Secretary of Defense or his designee to certify that offshore wind turbine projects in the North Atlantic and Mid-Atlantic planning areas will, quote, not weaken, degrade, interfere with, or nullify the performance and capabilities of radar relied upon by commercial aviation, military aviation, space launch vehicles, or other commercial space entities. Mr. Speaker, many of us are deeply concerned over the safety, efficacy, and likely detrimental environmental impact of embedding ocean wind turbines, each the size of the Chrysler Building in New York City, that's how big they are, off our coast. This amendment is not that. It focuses exclusively on the serious, well-founded concerns that offshore wind turbines will interfere with radar capabilities and, as a consequence, create a dangerous and potentially catastrophic impact on both military and commercial aviation activities. As far back as 2016, Mr. Speaker, the Federal Interagency Turbine Interference Mitigation Strategy stated, and I quote in part, wind development located within the line of sight of radar systems can cause clutter and interference, which at some raters has resulted in significant performance degradation. The probability of wind development to present conflicts with radar missions related to air traffic control, weather forecasting, homeland security, and national defense is likely to increase, close quote. So many years later, where's the mitigation? I've asked that question repeatedly, nowhere to be found. As a matter of fact, a 2022 comprehensive study on offshore wind development by the National Academy of Sciences found wind turbine generation mitigation techniques have not been substantially investigated, implemented, matured, or deployed. It's not there. It's a hope, a wish, but it's not there. And that puts people in airplanes, people in aviation, military and civilian, at grave risk. I reserve the balance of my time.
From New Jersey reserves?
Yes.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Connecticut seek recognition?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in strong opposition to the amendment.
You are recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, representing the state of Connecticut, which today is a site in southern New England of an offshore wind energy project that is 9 years into the process, 80% complete, with offshore wind turbines already installed, 45 out of 65 turbines that are in the ground, and have gone through exhaustive permitting, including the Department of Defense, in terms of making sure that this project will proceed safely and securely in an area where we have the largest military installation in New England with the New London submarine base, Coast Guard presence that are there. There is no question that this issue of radar interferences was exhaustively investigated with the Federal Aviation Committee, the Air Force, and NORAD. All of them were brought into the permitting process. Mr. Speaker, I have a letter dated December 2024, which states clearly that the Department of Defense has found that construction of the Revolution Wind project would not have adverse impacts on DoD missions in the area. I'd ask that it be admitted into record.
The request is covered under general leave.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Again, this is documentary proof that the concern that's being raised with this amendment is something that is already part of the permitting process. The Bureau of Energy Ocean Management signed off on the project. And again, we're about $4 billion into the project. The Trump administration on August 22nd put out a halt work order, citing national security concerns, not a single bit of detail. We have union jobs, laborers, operating engineers, longshoremen that are now totally in limbo in terms of whether or not the good work that they've been doing in compliance with a federal permit and that a project that's been paid for is going to be suspended by issues that don't exist in terms of the process. This issue is covered, and having this amendment passed would add an additional layer of delay on this project. Time is the enemy in terms of these working family jobs having their security at a time when our labor market is eroding and also will bring lower energy costs to southern New England. I reserve my time.
Irvs, the gentleman from New Jersey, you're recognized.
Mr. Speaker, how much time do I have?
2.5 minutes for the gentleman from New Jersey.
I appreciate that. Let me just point out to my colleagues that GAO looked at this at our request and found again that wind turbines reduce the performance of radar systems used for defense and maritime navigation and safety in several ways, and then they enumerated them. There have been a number of other studies that have suggested that this is a problem. Now, what does this amendment do? It says that there needs to be the due diligence that was lacking. I asked the head of BOEM, Ms. Klein, at a hearing, whether or not she had looked at this problem of the military and radar being disrupted. She didn't have a clue. It's in a record, open record that was held by the committee. And I was shocked at it, frankly, but she didn't have any idea. Her staff, we asked, get back to us. They never did. So why don't you want to have the due diligence that comes with a certification by the Secretary of Defense or his designee that this is a problem? Other countries, Mr. Speaker, like Sweden and others, they have delayed or ended their offshore wind because of fears of radar intervention. Sweden just recently did it. I yield to my friend from Maryland.
Thank you very much. I want to thank the gentleman from New Jersey for bringing this topic up. The fact of the matter is that the permitting process was abbreviated for offshore wind because we have this fascination that we have to bring this very expensive type of energy production somehow to the United States, and the gentleman from New Jersey brings up the point. The fact of the matter is, and Mr. Speaker, these new windmills that they propose off my district are twice as high as the ones that they have initially proposed. They have never been placed in the maritime environment, so we have no idea what the effect is on the undersea effect. And in my district, this is the closest point to Washington, D.C. off the coast. Now, time is not our enemy. Russia and China are our enemies. They have submarines. Russia has submarines that could come close to our coast, launch a weapon, and not be detected because we don't know what the effect is of these windmills. And the gentleman brings it up. Sweden canceled 12 of 13 offshore projects on their side toward Russia because it would delay detection by 1 minute. From 1 minute, it would go to 2 minutes, the time needed to detect a missile because of that interference. Now, we stand here closest to the shore. We absolutely should make certain that these windmills are not going to affect our safety standing right here in the Capitol. I yield back.
Gentleman, time has expired. The gentleman from Connecticut, you are recognized.
An FAA examined this issue. It was raised about radars. There was a software upgrade that all parties agreed upon would mitigate and solve this problem, and that's why they issued the order permitting this project. I yield 1 minute to my good friend from Rhode Island, Mr. Magaziner.
Gentleman is recognized.
Thank my friend from Connecticut. The gentleman from New Jersey is asking for a review that has already been done. The Department of Defense, in no uncertain terms, stated in this December 2024 letter just 10 months ago that the Revolution Wind project would not have adverse impacts on DoD missions in the area. The Air Force, NORAD, the Navy, all participated in the review of Revolution Wind. And in fact, if you read the BOEM record of decision, if you actually read the record of decision, there's a whole section on radar where it talks about how that has been addressed, the situation has been taken care of, and the Department of Defense has signed off on it. What this is really about is the larger war on clean energy that this side of the aisle is waging, that has led to hundreds of people in my district being put off the job site, a project that is 80% complete, is dormant right now, while my constituents are desperate for lower energy prices. And you want to talk about national defense? This amendment would hurt our national defense. Why? Because if we want to achieve American energy independence and not be dependent on other parts of the world, we should be opening the door to affordable clean energy,
the gentleman's
not
time
fighting
has expired.
with one hand behind our back. I yield back.
The gentleman from Connecticut is recognized. Gentleman has the only time remaining, and that time is 1¼ minutes.
Okay, I'm going to give Mr. Carbajal 45 seconds.
You're recognized.
Thank you. I rise in opposition to this amendment. For over 20 years, the Federal Administration, Aviation Administration, and the Department of Defense have successfully evaluated land-based wind facilities and ensured they do not interfere with military or FAA operations. There is absolutely no reason to think that their evaluations of offshore wind facilities will be any less rigorous. This amendment will require the Department of Transportation's Inspector General to submit a study on the effects of offshore wind on commercial and military technical abilities such as radar, sonar, and navigation. However, these issues are already fully considered by experts at the Department of Defense, FAA, Coast Guard, and Bureau of Ocean Energy Management during the existing permitting process.
Gentleman's time has expired.
I urge everyone to vote against this amendment.
The gentleman from Connecticut.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Again, I will yield the balance of my time to Mr. Amo from Rhode Island.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you to my friend from Connecticut. Look, Donald Trump is breaking promises left and right to American workers. His latest target is revolution wind. His stop work order is abusing the definition of national security and hurting hundreds of union workers in my home state of Rhode Island ready to finish this project that is 80% complete. We already have a permitting process that works. This amendment perpetuates a false narrative that leaves thousands of family-sustaining union jobs at risk.
The gentleman's time has expired. All time has expired. The question is